Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news at 6. I'm Tracy Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you through the day's top developing stories. Let's start with the headlines. Top leaders of the Congress slam Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the demonetization issue. Participants at the party's Jan Vedna rally described the note ban as a gigantic scam and a blow to the employable generation. Samajwadi Party factions fail to resolve their differences, though party patriarch Mulayam Singh Yadav insists that the party will remain united. India targets the United Nations Security Council, says it represents a small minority of the world's population and is not effective in addressing current challenges of conflict prevention and sustaining peace. An outgoing US President Barack Obama delivers an emotional farewell address to the nation, describes accomplishments of the last 8 years and insists that his work isn't finished. Starting with the top national story, top leaders of the Congress party today came together at the party's Jan Vedna rally in New Delhi to criticize the demonetization exercise of the Modi government. Describing the initiative as being ill-advised, many leaders, including former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and former Finance Minister Chidambaram, said that far from the common man's hardships being over, the worst is yet to come.
ये दो फिलॉसफीज की लड़ाई है। एक फिलॉसफी कांग्रेस पार्टी की फिलॉसफी कहती है डरो मत, और दूसरी फिलॉसफी कहती है डरो और डराओ। डिमोनेटाइजेशन का मैसेज क्या है मैं बताता हूं। हिंदुस्तान के देशवासियों, आपका भविष्य नरेंद्र मोदी के हाथ में है। सिर्फ नरेंद्र मोदी जी के हाथ में और किसी के हाथ में नहीं। For the first time in our history, a Prime Minister of India is being ridiculed the world over.
The one-day Jan Vedna conclave of the Congress party on Wednesday saw top leaders of the party going all out against the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the issue of demonetization. While former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh termed demonetization as a disaster, saying it has hit the employment generation, leader of opposition in the upper house, Ghulam Nabi Azad, categorized it as the biggest scam in India's history.
What a disaster this demonetization move was. It has hurt the country very badly. The things have gone from bad to worse in the last 2 months, but I venture to think that the worst is yet to come.
कि अब दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा स्कैम ये नोटबंदी है। ये सबसे बड़ा स्कैम है। जब भी इसकी इंक्वायरी होगी, कैसे इंक्वायरी होगी, कब होगी, लेकिन आज मैं ये दावे से कहता हूं कि दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा स्कैम।
Former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram also pointed out the flaws in the note ban decision and raised a question on the cabinet meeting held on 8th of November. General Secretary of the party, Ahmed Patel, also termed the leaders of the ruling party as arrogant.
The RBI could not have recommended remonetization. How is the cabinet waiting? RBI's recommendation comes to the cabinet. And I'm going to tell you something. According to the records that we have been able to access so far, there is no record of a cabinet meeting.
आज एक ऐसी सरकार सत्ता में है कि जिनके लोगों में एक अहंकार है, एक घमंड है, और जैसे समझ रहे हैं कि सत्ता में आए हैं तो कभी सत्ता से जाएंगे ही नहीं।
The Congress party also released a booklet on the issue of demonetization and paid homage to those whom the party alleged died due to the decision. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
All right, for more on this story, we've got Vishal Dahiya joining us from the newsroom. Vishal, good evening. You tracked, of course, that speech there. We did hear that aggressive stance again by Rahul Gandhi. By the looks of it, of course, he does come back once in a while with this aggressive stance. The party, of course, is hoping that he continues with it, especially with the budget session now on the anvil.
You're right, Tracy. In fact, the entire Congress party's, the number of workers and leaders would be hoping that this aggressiveness from their leader would continue for the rest of the year as well. In fact, this was his first public appearance, or rather public speech, after that break which he took amidst all this tug of war between his party and the ruling party on the issue of demonetization, which also saw how the winter session was completely washed out. But a comeback speech, as many are calling it, seems to have made some sort of impact. He's managed to, take digs at the Prime Minister as well as the ruling party, and he's sort of done so in, Prime Minister Modi's style only. He's tried to, put across the point in Prime Minister's style, tried to put across his point, saying that it is not the Prime Minister's intent to go ahead and help the people of the country, but rather his intent is to help a few top industrialists. Clearly, this particular one-day session by the Congress party, which they termed it as Jan Vedna Sammelan, as a convention, was aimed at ensuring that the Prime Minister and the ruling party can be cornered and pushed to the wall on the issue of demonetization right before the assembly elections. And these elections are really, really crucial for the main opposition party as well. They would want to go ahead and, retain power, or rather, retain power in Uttarakhand, get back to power in the state of Punjab and Goa, and, be some sort of important force in Uttar Pradesh, a state which is very, very crucial for the BJP as well. So, in effect, this entire convention, though, was, talking about the issue of demonetization and several other issues which have been, taken up by the Congress party in the last 2.5 years of NDA rule, was more or less aimed at those assembly elections. And Rahul's two addresses which he gave, the inaugural address as well as the closing address, were more or less, aimed at the election-going states. And at one point in his concluding speech, Rahul Gandhi even said it in so many words, and if I quote him, saying that Uttar Pradesh mein maja aayega, as in this time we will enjoy the political fight in Uttar Pradesh. So clearly, there is something more brewing up in the Congress Vice President's mind as far as the party strategy is concerned. And from here onwards, we might see a lot more fireworks as far as Congress versus BJP.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, of UP, we'll be talking about that in a short while. We'll tell our viewers of the latest developments really in the Samajwadi Party. But speaking of the assembly elections, also one state to look out for is, of course, Manipur, where Congress, of course, still has power. But, after Assam, the BJP is, of course, trying to make further inroads into the northeast. So that's going to be crucial as well. But Vishal, it was not just Rahul Gandhi. You also had, senior Congress leaders like the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and you had P. Chidambaram as well, who also spoke about demonetization and also saying that, the worst is yet to come, and don't buy into the words of the Prime Minister just as yet.
Had on the dais as well as in the audience also, there were a number of senior leaders of the Congress party, and specifically on the dais were present the former Prime Minister, the former Finance Minister, several other former colleagues, cabinet colleagues of Dr. Manmohan Singh, and almost all of the known faces in UPA too. Clearly, those speeches which came in from the former Finance Minister and the Prime Minister were a point-by-point rebuttal of all the claims which have been made by either the Prime Minister or the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley or other ministers or officials in the government on the issue of demonetization. In fact, the former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram even raised questions on that cabinet meeting on November 8th, which finally approved the policy of demonetization, saying that, there are still question marks as to whether or not that meeting indeed was held. And also the entire process of how a decision on demonetization was taken. The former Prime Minister Dr. Singh went on to point out all those pitfalls of demonetization which the country is facing now, and he even used the words that this is the beginning of the end.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Vishal, thanks so much for joining us for the moment on this story. In fact, even as we speak, various BJP leaders are arriving for the Central Election Committee meeting, and definitely demonetization is an issue that they are, of course, going to be harping upon in all those 5 states that are going to assembly polls. and this Jan Vedna rally of the Congress to feature, I'm sure, in those talks that are to take place in a short while from now. Meanwhile, like we said, in Uttar Pradesh, Mulayam Singh Yadav on Wednesday addressed the Samajwadi Party workers at the SP headquarters in Lucknow. The party patriarch asserted that Samajwadi Party will not be allowed to split. Meanwhile, the impasse between the father and the son over who controls the party and its symbol continues.
Insisting that his party won't split despite his talks with Akhilesh Yadav failing to produce a truce, Samajwadi Party patriarch Mulayam Singh Yadav claimed that his supporters are not forming another party or changing its symbol.
वो पूरा का पूरा बेच दिया। अब मेरे पास क्या है? मेरे पास आप लोग हैं। हम लोग आजीवन रहेंगे। कार्यकर्ता हमने पूरा भरोसा है कि पार्टी को पार्टी को सम्राट मुलायम सिंह, अपने पुत्र मुलायम सिंह देखा पड़ी कर रहे हो न तो समाजवादी पार्टी नाम बदल रही है और नाम बदल रही है।
Mulayam said he had founded the party during the emergency years in the 70s when his son was just 2 years old. He also blamed his cousin and close Akhilesh aide Ram Gopal Yadav for instigating a split, even as he remains soft on his son. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav continued to meet senior leaders and party workers at his official residence. His supporters are busy crafting the election strategy.
कुछ लोग नेताजी के अगल बगल नेताजी को भड़काने का काम कर रहे हैं, दिग्भ्रमित करने का काम कर रहे हैं। नेताजी अपनी विरासत सौंप चुके हैं। 2012 में जब अखिलेश जी ने रथ यात्रा इतनी लंबी चलाई थी और पूर्ण बहुमत लेके आए तो नेताजी ने कहा था कि मैं आज ये पार्टी युवाओं को समर्पित कर रहा हूं, और उसी कड़ी के तहत माननीय हमारे शीर्ष नेतृत्व ने मिल बैठकर अखिलेश जी को मुख्यमंत्री बना दिया था।
On the ground, however, Samajwadi Party supporters appeared puzzled, even as they continued to express support for the rival factions. The Election Commission will hold its first meeting on the dispute related to the party's symbol, the bicycle, and the leadership on Friday. Both factions, led by Mulayam Singh Yadav and Akhilesh Yadav, have rebutted each other's claims on the control of the party and its election symbol.
At a time when election strategy should be finalized and supporters should be galvanized, the Samajwadi Party's battle for symbol is also not over. Even if the two warring factions put up a united front, it would be difficult to douse the dissent that has escalated within the party cadre. Reporting from Lucknow, with camera person Shiv Kumar, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Now, this evening, Kriti, of course, nothing much has changed, of course, since the last time we spoke to you last evening. In fact, as far as where the two factions stand. However, we did hear Mulayam Singh Yadav speak to those party workers. And, you know, quite an emotional speech there saying that, you know, I have announced Akhilesh as to be the next CM if the party does come to power. What more do you want from me? You know, also going on to say that, you know, Akhilesh was just about 2 to 3 years old when I made this party. So, you know, an emotional appeal of sorts going on to the other side.
Well, that's right, Tracy. The logjam in the Samajwadi Party is far from over. SP Patriarch Mulayam Singh Yadav tried to strike emotional chords today. And in fact, when we were just guessing that he would come out with a broad roadmap for a truce, the politician that he is, he left all of us guessing for his next move. It is very important to understand at this point in time, Tracy, that Akhilesh's camp is extremely confident. Now, party insiders have told us that Akhilesh has refused to budge. He has refused to relent to the demands made by his father, especially of relinquishing the post of party's president. Now, his camp feels that Akhilesh he'll be able to traverse the caste-ridden labyrinth of UP politics, and they have got a booster shot after most of the election surveys predicted that he is the most preferred chief ministerial candidate. So his camp is saying that even if they do not get the party symbol, which is the cycle, they would be able to propagate the new symbol in the hinterland. But most of the experts say that it is not going to be a cakewalk for Akhilesh because Mulayam may come up with something new now. Over to you, Tracy.
Absolutely, because Mulayam is known as the king of U-turns. And perhaps that is why even his son is not ready to give back the national presidency post to his father. You never know what you can expect next with Mulayam Singh Yadav. But what are the indications that you're getting as far as the EC is concerned? Is it eventually now going to look like the party symbol is going to be frozen?
Well, that's right, Tracy. That's what, in fact, the experts are telling us, that Election Commission has asked for representation from both the warring factions on Friday, and then it is likely to take a call. So going by the precedents, experts say that the Election Commission would be compelled to freeze the election symbol, which is the cycle for both the warring factions, and they would be given interim or ad hoc symbols or new names. So at this point in time, it is very difficult to say what the decision of the Election Commission would be, because even as we are waiting for Election Commission's decision on Friday, there are 2 days, and there could be some kind of truce between these two warring factions, and they could withdraw the letter that they've given to the Election Commission.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Kriti, thanks so much for joining us for the moment. We'll come back to you, of course, for more updates as and when news develops there. And now, let's take you through some more national news updates in Nationwide. The opposition disrupted proceedings of the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly and staged a walkout from the House. They are demanding the constitution of a judicial commission to probe the deaths in Kashmir during the 5-month-long unrest. Opposition parties, including the National Conference and the Congress, rejected the announcement of the Chief Minister for setting up of a special investigation teams at district levels to probe such deaths. It was for the 4th day that the opposition held on to its demands. Residents of the national capital today woke up to a cold morning with the minimum temperature settling at 4.2 degrees Celsius, 3 notches below the season's average. Many trains were cancelled and several trains were running late by many hours due to bad weather. However, flight schedules were normal. The visibility was recorded at 1200 meters at 8:30 a.m. at Safdarjung Observatory, while at Palam the visibility was 800 meters. The Supreme Court today dismissed a PIL challenging the income tax exemptions granted to donations made to political parties. A bench comprising Chief Justice J.S. Khehar and Justice D.Y. Chandrachud said that the decision to grant IT exemptions is an executive action and did not violate any constitutional provision. As demands from various quarters continue to pour in for holding Jallikattu, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam today reaffirmed the resolve of his government to conduct the bull taming sport. Pannirselvam also hit out at the DMK for its criticism of the ruling AIADMK on the matter. Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa is on a 2-day visit to Goa. Chief Minister Lakshmikant Parsekar accorded him a warm welcome to the state. Costa has roots in Goa, which remained under Portuguese rule for nearly 450 years. The Portuguese Prime Minister also held talks with the Chief Minister focusing on ties in tourism, science, oceanography, language and heritage. Costa will be visiting his ancestral home in Madgaon. With a quick break here, international news follows next.
You are still not seen as a heavyweight politician of the BJP.
I cannot be as effective as those people who have got 50 members or 30 members.
If you're not loud, you are not heard inside the assembly, you are not heard by the people.
Simply by shouting, the point is not driven home. The purpose or the reasoning, that is important.
People have already started saying that the party has not given you your due.
We have to bring in the younger people. The elder people will play their role.
Watch To The Point with the sole BJP legislator in Kerala Assembly, O. Raja Gopal, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Now, India today criticized the UN Security Council, stating that it represents a small minority of the world's population. The remarks were made by India's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador Syed Akbaruddin, at the council debate on Tuesday. Calling the Security Council frozen, India said not only an updated and not outdated global institution can be effective in addressing the current challenges of conflict prevention and sustaining peace. Akbaruddin said that if the 15-nation council has to make rules for the people and not just a small minority, it needs to adequately reflect new realities. He said long-established states too are unable to fully respond to the new factors and forces being unleashed. He also charged, in fact, that the established international order was being upended in terms of economic, political and technological shifts. Meanwhile, in the US, conceding disappointments during his presidency, yet offering vigorous encouragement for the nation's future, Barack Obama issued an emotional defense on Tuesday night of his vision to Americans facing a moment of anxiety and a dramatic change in leadership. Obama's valedictory speech in his hometown of Chicago was a public reflection on the trials and triumphs, promises kept and promises broken that made up his 8 years in the White House. Here's a report.
Michelle and I have been so touched by all the well wishes that we've received over the past few weeks. But tonight it's my turn to say thanks.
True to form, President Barack Obama capped his 8 years in office with a farewell speech that asked a polarized country to resist division and come together in a sense of common purpose.
The future should be ours. But that potential will only be realized if our democracy works. Only if our politics better reflects the decency of our people. Only if all of us, regardless of party affiliation or particular interests, help restore the sense of common purpose that we so badly need right now.
Obama made a case in defense of a policy legacy that is now at risk of piece-by-piece decimation. But he resisted calls to speak out directly against President-elect Donald Trump and his agenda, instead couching a warning about the fragile state of American democracy in his signature vocabulary of unity.
But that's what we did. That's what you did. You were the change. You answered people's hopes, and because of you, by almost every measure, America is a better, stronger place than it was when we started. In 10 days, the world will witness a hallmark of our democracy. No. The peaceful transfer of power from one freely elected president to the next. I committed to President-elect Trump that my administration would ensure the smoothest possible transition, just as President Bush did for me.
The speech acknowledged the unfulfilled hopes of some of the people who voted for him in 2008 and turned 8 years later to his antithesis. Obama noted the cynicism of the disappointment of people who believed his victory meant the end of racial division. He insisted, though, that the United States is still a country on the rise.
Our progress has been uneven. The work of democracy has always been hard. It's always been contentious. Sometimes it's been bloody.
Obama also paid an emotional tribute to First Lady Michelle Obama during his final address as president, calling her his best friend.
LaVaughn Robinson, girl of the South Side. For the past 25 years, you have not only been my wife and mother of my children, you have been my best friend. You took on a role you didn't ask for, and you made it your own, with grace and with grit and with style and good humor. You made the White House a place that belongs to everybody. And a new generation sets its sights higher because it has you as a role model.
The country's first black president, Barack Obama, now 55, was first elected in 2008 on a message of hope and change. His successor Donald Trump has vowed to undo some of Obama's signature policies. He will be sworn into office on 20th January. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here are more international news updates in Global Buzz. China's aircraft carrier today entered the Taiwan Strait, aggravating tensions between the two sides. Seen as a show of strength by Beijing, Taiwan's defense ministry said that it has gone into an area covered by its air defense zone. Taiwan has reportedly dispatched F-16 fighter jets and other aircraft last night to monitor the Chinese carrier group. South Korea today alleged that North Korea had enough plutonium to make 10 nuclear bombs. The statement comes a week after leader Kim Jong-un had said that it was close to test launching an intercontinental ballistic missile. Seoul's defense ministry claimed that North has 50 kilograms of weapons-grade plutonium at the end of 2016, which is in fact up from 40 kilos 8 years earlier and enough to make about 10 weapons. In the US, Dylan Roof has been sentenced to death for fatally shooting 9 black church members during a Bible study session. He is the first person to be executed for a federal hate crime. A jury deliberated for about 3 hours before returning with the decision. Roof served as his own attorney during sentencing and never asked for forgiveness or mercy or explained the massacre. The death toll in the 2 large bombings near government offices in Kabul has risen to 50. According to authorities, a suicide bomber struck first, followed by a car bomb. Those killed include civilian and military personnel. It is being considered the deadliest attack by Taliban insurgents in the capital in months. Well, that's all we have for you on the news at 6. Thanks so much for joining us.